Hi, my name is Jas Hammonds, and I am the author of We Deserve Monuments as well as Thirsty. And I'd love to chat a little bit about Thirsty. It's my latest book that came out in 2024, and it's about an 18-year-old girl named Blake who is dealing with an alcohol addiction and how it all bubbles up to the surface the summer before she goes to college. She is attempting to join this exclusive sorority that promises connections to trailblazing women of color, and a lot of the pledge process involves partying and extensive drinking, and it ultimately just comes to like on this sets Blake on this collision course that has a reckoning with how she has utilized alcohol in her life, and in particular in regards to social anxiety. It's something that is deeply personal for me because these are issues that I have dealt with for well over a decade. I started drafting this book when I was in the thick of exploring my own relationship to alcohol and sobriety and wondering what all of this meant. And I had my first drink when I was 15 years old. So these issues are very real and very pressing, especially for teenagers. And so I wanted to write something that was authentic and it wasn't talking down to teenagers. I just wanted to open a line of dialogue and start, just having these conversations and asking ourselves, like, what are we doing to cope with the immense pressures and stresses of everyday life, especially as a teenager living in 2025. And so I've heard from a lot of people about what Thirsty has meant to them in particular. I've heard from readers who have felt their own experience with alcohol really reflected on the page. I've heard from people who, had the experience of being the caretaker of somebody who is dealing with an alcohol addiction and saying, like, hey, I never really had empathy for this person. I just felt resentment and rage, and that is all valid. And I also thought it was really beautiful how now they're able to see like what's underneath that and how it's just like this grief that is like, that accompanies loving someone and caring about someone who is going through these struggles. And so that means so much to me when people are able to make these connections and develop greater empathy. But I think one of the most impactful things that I've heard from a reader in regards to this book is from a high school student, and her teacher reached out to me to share a letter that she sent, and it was about how she didn't realize she was in a toxic friendship dynamic until she read Thirsty. And because at the heart of this book is it's not just about losing yourself in alcohol, it's also about losing yourself in other people and peer pressure, and how we can so easily just slip into the role of like, yeah, this person, they know what's best for me, and you just learn to trust your friends, and you don't question, maybe they don't have my best interests at heart. And so hearing from this student who realized, like, I didn't realize like my friend was not a good fit for me until I read this book, because I would have an experience that was similar to Blake, and instead of caring for me or comforting me, my friend would be annoyed. Like, she acted like I was an inconvenience. And that's something that Blake experiences with her long-term girlfriend Ella in the book. And so that meant a lot to me that this young person was able to end a harmful friendship solely because she recognized herself in the pages of Thirsty. So that is always my goal as a writer, is to remind people that you're not alone, and also to just give a witness to my own experiences. And it just feels like a reaching out to say, I went through this, I know somebody else has gone through this too. Can we talk about this? Can we build deeper empathy for each other and for these experiences? And so I am so happy that Thirsty is reaching the people that it needs to, and ultimately I just hope that it can continue to in many years to come.